If you loved Narnia growing up, but you're not quite the same person you were when you first read it, then this video might be for you. Often when I try to explain my new series to people, they say, "Oh, what, like Narnia?" And I don't really know how to respond. I'm left kind of coughing into my sleeve. Because C.S. Lewis created something wonderful, timeless, powerful. There's something about the wonder, the meaning, the depth of Narnia that stays with you for long after you've read it. To compare myself to someone like him seems just a little bit ridiculous. But at the same time, it's actually quite hard to explain what I've written without stepping into his shadow for just a little while. Because when people ask me, is your book like Narnia? The honest answer is yes, in some ways. But it's also written for a different stage of the journey. So let's do this properly. Here is how the Stronghold of Enjanan series looks a little bit like Narnia, but is also quite different. Let's start with the differences. The obvious one is that there is no talking animals. In Narnia, animals are given a voice. There's this kind of magical interaction between human and animals that Aslan has specially imbibed with a voice. But there aren't any talking animals in Enjanan. Animals do feature, they're very much part of the story, but they don't speak. Instead, I've created animals that feel familiar, but they're kind of slightly off. There's little differences about them. Take, for example, the Wispara. It's very much horse-like, but it has these elephant tusks and cheeks that blow out into great big balls. It doesn't have wings, it's not a unicorn, there's no horn or anything like that, and yet some of them, they do have this ethereal quality about them. Just as in Narnia, not all of the animals, but some of them are slightly mystical, and the mystery of them will be revealed as we go through the series. So, onto the big one. There is no Aslan. And there shouldn't be. Aslan is one of the most powerful figures in all of fantasy literature. To try and recreate him would be utter foolishness. In Narnia, Aslan is the creator figure. We see in The Magician's Nephew how he sings the world into existence in that absolutely gorgeous creation scene. Aslan is both terrifying and deeply good, and that's part of what makes him unforgettable. My world takes a slightly different approach. It's still allegorical, but it's rooted earlier, kind of in the Old Testament, and so there's no physical representation of Jesus. Instead, the Creator is at the center of everything. He is the light of the world, and the world literally spins around him. He's still the voice through whom all things were made. Let me read you a little scene so that you can see what I mean. The world began with a flicker of light, no bigger than this. Shay's papa held out his palm, and from it, a tiny flame ignited. Steadily, the light grew brighter, as the Creator's glory captured the darkness and overcame it. The crackling continued, and from within it, an indiscernible voice brought forth the wind, and the wind churned the dust into cyclones, whirling before the expanding light. Then trickles of water rose from the earth, joining the twirling masses until slowly the dust transformed into discernible shapes, trees, creatures, and finally, the Enja. That was a scene from the first book, Awakening the Light. There's another big difference in the world. There is no witchcraft. Now, Narnia uses witchcraft very clearly. There is good and evil. But modern fantasy is just absolutely saturated with it. And I wanted to write an alternative. Not because fantasy needs less wonder, but because I wanted the power in this world to come from somewhere else. So yes, there is something supernatural, but it's not magic in the usual sense. It's gifts. Like Aslan gives gifts to the Penvesi children in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, these gifts are given deliberately for a purpose, but they're tied to things that bring life, light, water and air. You saw in that scene how flames came up from Natan's hands. That's one of the gifts. And they're not used freely as such. They only work in partnership with the Creator, which means they're strongest when they're used for the right purpose. And honestly, that changes everything. There's one final difference, and this might be the most significant difference of all. Narnia is written primarily for children. And the temptations, like Edmund's Turkish Delight, are aimed at that audience, although I don't know many kids that like Turkish Delight anymore. My series isn't. It's written for teenagers, young adults and adults, because story is all about struggle, and struggles change as we grow and develop. Temptation gets more complex, failure feels heavier, faith becomes harder and more real. So my series leans into that. It doesn't avoid the darker questions, but it also doesn't leave you there. So those are some of the ways that it's different to Narnia, but how is it similar to Narnia? Well, like Narnia, which is about 4 children in a family, this series isn't about just one hero. It's a family thing. A group of people travelling together towards something much bigger than themselves. There's tension within that family, sometimes even conflict, but there's this constant thread. We are stronger when we don't walk alone. Secondly, it's epic. This is a whole other world. And it's also a story that holds salvation, but also inevitable destruction. If you remember the emotional weight of the last battle, that mix of hope and loss, you'll recognise something similar here. Thirdly, it's truth-filled. That's really the heart of it. See, C.S. Lewis wasn't just telling stories. He had a fantastic mind. He was a great theologian. He was communicating truth. And that's my heart as well. That's what I care about. But not doing that in a heavy-handed way, not doing that in a preachy way, but in a way that sticks with you, that ignites your imagination, that gives you pictures for deep truths that you can hold on to, things that make you think, equip you to live in this world. Maybe they even change something in you. Because stories can do that. They can carry truth in a way that other things can't always. Essentially, grace. Grace runs through everything that I write. It's the reason why I write. In this way, humbly, I hope to follow in Lewis's footsteps just a little bit. So no, the Stronghold of Enjanan, it's not Narnia. But if you're looking for a story that wrestles with faith, that explores deeper questions, that still carries that sense of wonder, then this might be for you. And if you've ever asked, what is this book really about, then I hope you've got a little bit more of an answer now. If any of that resonates with you, if you're looking for a new series to sink your teeth into, that will also make you think, then the link for Awakening the Light is in the description. I'd love for you to come on the journey. And before I go, I'd love to know, what do you look for in fantasy stories? What's important to you? Leave the answer in the comments and let's start a conversation.